Welcome to episode 9 of the Cleveland Real Estate Podcast. My name is Sebastian Lorenzo, the host of this podcast and a sales manager with Revolution Mortgage. And in this episode, we're talking to Mike Incorvaia of the Incorvaia Team with eXp Realty. On this episode, we talked to Mike about him and his team's rise to being in the top 10 real estate teams in Ohio. We discussed what he did to grow his team to over 50 agents, the benefit of joining his team, and how those benefits have separated his team from the rest, and what his recommendation is for new agents and team leaders who want to grow in 2023. As always, make sure to take some notes. If you enjoy this episode, please share it with your friends, family, and colleagues, and leave us 5 stars on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Enjoy the show. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cleveland Real Estate Podcast. I'm here with Mike Incorvaia of the Incorvaia Team at eXp Realty. How are you today, Mike?
Doing good, Sebastian. Thanks for having me on your podcast. I appreciate it. You've been doing a lot of stuff on social media with this podcast. I've been seeing it popping up on Instagram, and you just had one of our team members, Jared, on here recently, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did. He was great.
Yeah, Jared's awesome. He does a lot of our social media and video stuff.
Yeah. It was really awesome to have him on. He shared some good stuff relating to like talking about social media. I know that he's pretty good at it, and I obviously follow him on Instagram and see all the posts that he puts out. I think why don't you start off by just kind of we talked about obviously who you are, where you're from, but how long you've been in business, and then just I guess if you want to talk about volume, that is optional, of course.
Sure. So I've been licensed since 2006, and I'll tell you kind of how the Incorvaia team formed. My mom's been an agent since the 90s. She was a solo agent on her own, and my father had an insurance business, and in his insurance business, he ran that in the city of Strongsville for 30 years. He's retired from that business now. In 2004, before we were with Keller Williams, my dad decided he was going to get a license to kind of help my mom with the business while he had his real estate practice going. And he already knew about marketing and branding from running his insurance agency. And what ended up happening was my dad ended up getting his license in '04 to kind of help her. And then fast forward 2 years, in 2006, I got licensed. And that's when we formed the team. At the time, it was me, my mom, and my dad, and we had one admin. So we just started off at that point. And then what's crazy is my dad, he, really has a passion for helping people. So when we got offered to come to Keller Williams in 2006, my parents were investors in that market center. Each office with KW has individual owners at their franchises. And they were one of the owners, and my dad just started going to open houses, visiting agents from other companies, and he helped build the Keller Williams office in Strongsville. And then Westlake actually saw what he was doing, and there was an opportunity for him to become the operating partner and the majority owner in Westlake Keller Williams. And then fast forward a little bit further, he became the operating partner in Strongsville. So we owned both of those market centers, and they grew to be the 2 largest producing offices in the entire MLS. So that's kind of how the team began, and we had buyers agents that joined on. Fast forward now, and we'll get into it here in a minute. We recently, last year in August, made the switch after 16 years from Keller Williams to eXp, just because we love the business model, and I'll kind of get into that a little bit. But fast forward, and our personal team of the Incorvaia team is up to about 50 agents.
Yeah. I was looking at that actually. It's crazy. I think it's pretty impressive what you guys, like you and your parents, have been able to do. So I think that's a good question. I think a lot of people are going to know, especially people who are contemplating why they are part of their own brokerage and why there might be a need for a switch. Who really knows? But what's sort of the reasons that you went from KW to eXp?
Well, first of all, I mean, we've been consistently doing on an annual basis anywhere from 600 to 700 transactions, and been in the top 5 in the state of Ohio for the last 5 or 6 years in a row. And we have many friends from Keller Williams throughout the country, since it's an international company, just like eXp is.
Right.
We kind of saw over the years making the move from KW to eXp. And at first we kind of ignored it. And then it just was something we couldn't ignore anymore. And the
Right.
business model is just basically the technology, the support, everything we heard about the company, about eXp, because it's virtual, that you're not going to be able to talk to anybody or get any support. It's the complete opposite. We've got a
Right.
virtual world with our platform, the eXp world. I could go in there and ask a question in accounting and get an answer in 2 minutes. Like I actually had one last week where I asked the question. Somebody answered it within 2 minutes. The document that I needed was emailed to me 3 minutes later. It's faster service
It's
than
awesome.
most agents get, even at a local brokerage here. And
Yeah.
everybody's been asking us for years, why don't you guys start your own real estate company? Why don't you start Incorvaia Realty? Well, we don't want to do that. I was on a podcast with another guy about a week ago who is also with EXP, and he moved his whole brokerage over. He had an independent brokerage, and he told me how they got into a lawsuit for something that they weren't even at fault for. They ended up winning, but just the money expended just to litigate that, having their own brokerage, the
Right.
liability was way too high. So we just want to be in a situation where we're with a national company with national exposure, and now EXP's international as well. They're going all over the place, and the business
Yeah.
model is just one that we can offer our agents a platform to really grow and thrive.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've seen it's crazy because I've seen like a lot of agents who have moved to EXP, not only in Ohio, but like I mentioned to you before we got on this, that I'm from Florida, and it's pretty much all over the place. Everyone's moving. A lot of people are moving over to EXP. And I'm sure there's plenty of reasons, like you mentioned, why there will be a reason to, right? So, all right. So what, you mentioned that back in the days you started off, it was just you, your parents, and then an admin. So what did you do to get it to 51? I think it's now 51 agents. Um, how did that work? I guess year over year, how many agents did you add? Kind of walk me through that.
I mean, for the first probably 4 or 5 years, we were sitting at about 5 to 10 people. And then we just
Hmm.
continued to grow and continue to grow because just like any business, as we got our systems in place, we were able to, excuse me, grow more as we got those systems in place. But what I can really tell you that we have in place right now that we never had to this level is we, from August up until now, have spent so much time making key hires, making sure that all of our transaction management team is licensed. There's a lot of teams out there that they have admins or transaction uh, contract to close people that aren't licensed. They can only go so far as to send an email,
Right.
welcome to the deal. Our four girls are completely licensed, so they can pretty much do docs, answer questions, do anything. And that's a huge advantage for our team
Right.
members to be able to hand over a deal and then they can take it and move forward so the agent can focus on staying productive and doing more business. And we built this over time by offering things like coaching and training. And now we have a person on our team that is actually a coach that is holding coaching sessions once a week. Out of the 50 agents that we have, we've got 20 of them that are in coaching that are coming every week and being held accountable and increasing their production. And our coaching sessions, they're open to anybody from any company that wants to come to attend that's just maybe not getting that. And what I'm finding is some of the people that have come to the coaching who they've told us, "Oh, we get training at our company." They come here and the stuff that we're going
Yeah.
over, they're like, "Yeah, it's nothing like that."
Right. I'm sure. Yeah.
So it's just
That's awesome.
it's just a different way of doing business, and we're trying to be very agent centric and providing
Yeah.
value to our agents. So we've got everything dialed into a point now that they know who to contact, where to go, what to get set up, so they're fully up and running and actually have an action plan in place to be successful, rather than maybe going somewhere where you do a training for the first week and then that's kind of it.
Right, right. And I think that's consistency is key. So having like, if you're a new agent, having consistent, coaching every week, someone that can keep you accountable is going to be, I think, a really, important in the success of an agent, right? So other than coaching and training, what does so I actually have two questions on this. So what does that coaching and training look like weekly? Like I guess, can you give me an example of what this week's training might have looked like? And then what other sort of things would you be offering to prospective agents that wanted to join your team?
Well, we've got a lot of things in place. So
Yeah.
first off, they come into coaching, and during coaching they're going to have training on get this in order. This is what you're going to do to get started in the business. We've got people in coaching from brand new in the business, newly licensed, all the way up to people who are doing 6, 7, 8, 9 million that want to take their business to a new level. We're doing
Right.
one-on-one meetings with them. They're doing KPIs. They're doing goal setting. We've got Boomtown, which is a platform that I'm
Yeah.
sure you as a lender have heard before. We've got Boomtown, which That is a lead generation platform that we have our agents on, where we have clehomefinder.com, where we're capturing leads on there. So if they're participating, then they're going to be an active seat in lead participation. The biggest thing is brand recognition. We have agents that are on our team that can take all of our stats, all of our marketing after we do listing consultation and buyer consultation with them, where they're fully dialed in, that after mentoring us and shadowing us on some appointments, they can go to an appointment with confidence. And by saying I'm on the Incorvaia team, that seller might not know this newer agent in the business, but they say, we see the Incorvaia team signs everywhere in Strongsville or Royalton or Broadview or whatever. And that right
Right.
there is half the battle. And a lot of times the
Yeah.
agents are winning these listing appointments because the proven track record of sales, the processes, and then having the name recognition. So we've built a huge brand. And some of the
Yeah.
newer teams that are newer in the area, they may be doing things all digitally. We do a really nice mix of old school with print and digital and branding. Up at the lake, we have billboards. We do business up there. So we've got a bunch of different things that are in place, just an all encompassing
It's awesome.
brand. And that's kind of how our agents really can get dialed in and get to the next level. And then I think the other biggest piece to your question is, if an agent is doing a deal and they're newer and they know they can get a hold of me or Sylvia as one of the owners at 10 o'clock on a Friday, and they say, I have this challenging situation on a deal, and we get them through it. A lot of places aren't offering that experience and guidance, where the
Right.
owners of the team are
Right.
actually getting involved to problem solve, to help these people keep their deals together. And that's one thing
100.
we pride ourselves on.
That's awesome. Yeah, 100%. And I think that goes in any, for any industry when you're brand new, especially in sales. I mean, it's important to be able to have access to these mentors or whoever it is that might be able to help you out, no matter what time it is, right? So that makes a lot of sense. And I've seen just from social media posting and that kind of thing that you guys do. You guys offer like all kinds of things for new agents, which I think is like, I mean, it's so important, especially for a newer agent who might have never been in the business, doesn't know anything about real estate, right? But wants to succeed and is dedicated. I think it's a great way to help, right?
You're
Um,
always going to get those
all right,
agents that
so
you're always going to get those agents that are out there that all they care about is the commission split. But if you go to a place where
right,
you get 95 or 100% of the commission split, but you're doing no business, what good is it?
right, 100%, yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, like you're getting something, even and again, it goes for anything else. I mean, when you're like 100% of zero is still zero, right? And so it's sometimes it's better, especially as a newer agent, to get the support you need, and just not worry so much about commission splits or whatever it takes, especially if you're
I
getting all
mean,
this support.
we do offer a very generous split, probably one of the better ones in the area. But with that being said, we're
Yeah,
providing value as well. I mean, we're giving
right.
photography, video marketing, social media, lockbox signs, cards, headshots, boomtown, coaching, training. I mean, an office space,
Yeah,
weekly coaching, monthly meetings. I mean, all kinds of things that just a lot of people
yeah,
are not doing.
yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, so all right, you've obviously been in the business a while, and so you have a thing or two of advice to share, right? So if I was a new agent and I wanted to hit the ground running in 2023, what are my first steps, right? What are the first things I should do?
Well, if you're brand new and you are brand new to the real estate industry and you kind of feel like, hey, I got my license and I have no idea what to do, reach out to somebody who's in your office or around you that is experienced, that can give you some guidance. If not, reach out to us,
Right.
because I mean, we'll help you get a system in place where basically you're going to be getting all of your contacts, your sphere of influence. You're going to be getting them all in a list. You're going to be sending out letters. You're going to be calling. We've got Mojo Dialer. We've got all these different things. We've got two guys on our team that are in their early 20s, and the one guy, Jake, is doing Mojo dialing, just the cold calling, and he's already
Yeah,
got 4 or 5 deals in place just because of this, as a new agent running right out of the gate.
it's
Some new
awesome.
agents that get licensed at a company where the company doesn't provide them any support, they might not do 4 deals in a year.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
with that being said, my biggest piece of advice is, before you sign with a brokerage, please make sure that you're asking whoever that mentor or manager or owner of that company is, what do you have in place for me as a new agent that I can really dial in and get organized. There's one thing I can tell you that I'm guilty of. Up until just a couple years ago, I had no database. My database was basically all the people that I've sold homes to, I'm connected to on Facebook. I interact and engage with them a lot. So I stayed top of mind. But if I could go back to the very beginning to '06, I would have had everybody a lot more systematized and doing drip campaigns.
Yeah.
I think that the
Mhm.
most important thing that you can do as a new agent right now is really get everybody dialed in and continue to add to that pipeline so you constantly are in front of people staying top of mind. It's very important.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's funny because I have a real estate agent who's my partner that we work together. We were just talking about this, building like an actual system of your past clients, looking at like your database, people people in your circle, and dialing in, focusing on those people, right, and interacting with them and that kind of thing. So anyway, I think that's super important. Obviously, staying top of mind is the most important thing, and no matter what sales industry you're in, right? Um, so, all right. So basically, you know, um, we got the new agent out of the way. We got all these steps in place for a new agent. What about someone who might be a team leader who has, 5 agents that wants to grow to 50, right? Or a few agents that wants to grow to 100 or whatever it is, right? What's your advice for them? What does that look like?
I think that if you're going to be running a team and growing a team, you have to first say to yourself, do you want to manage people? And do you want to be in a position where you have systems in place and you stick to those systems? Because right now, with what we have in place versus even just a few years ago, we are a lot more strict with the things that we have in place. Before, it was a little bit more loose, and now we've got everything in a certain time frame. When a new agent joins, these are the steps you have to take, and if they're not taking them and not willing to participate, then maybe they're not a good fit for the team. So I don't think, as a newer team leader, if you have only 5 people on your team, that you need to really necessarily just add people to add people. I would really go through the process of, talking to them about what their focus is and why they want to be in the business. And also, if you're adding people on your team too, you have to find out, do they have a full time job, or are they going to be making real estate their full time job? Do they need to get paid like yesterday? Because if they need to get paid like yesterday and don't have a job in place, it could be a recipe for disaster. Because as we know, being in mortgage and me being in real estate, I mean, it's a scenario where if you're expecting your first check like in 2 weeks, it just doesn't work that way.
Right. 100%. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I was actually talking to a team leader last week. He told me that he really only focuses on taking agents who are full time because the way his business model is set up, he wants people who are going to produce, and he wants to train people that are hungry for it, right? And a lot of times when you do real estate part time, you're not really like, it's not really something you're not trying to close deals every month. You just kind of do it for family, or you do it here and there or whatever. So, but that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think also it's part of the culture. You want people in your
Well,
in your team on your team that are like hungry.
we have had people that are part time that have done well. They've had jobs and they've
Yeah.
done well. But the thing about it is, it's just like, when you're on a listing appointment and you're sitting across from an attorney, or you're sitting across from an engineer. You have to know what type of personality profile that seller is, so you know how to give your presentation. Because the engineer is going to want to know every detail. The attorney just wants to know how much it's going to sell for and what am I going to net. Just the same way as
Right.
when you're sitting across from somebody who says they want to get into real estate, you have to know their personality style and if they're going to plug in or not. So I just feel like for us, we've got so many things in place now that if the agents plug in, they're going to succeed at a high level.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. What's your goal for this year? Like, what's your plan for your brokerage or for your team? Where do you want to take it?
So we're at about 50 agents right now. We're very comfortable at that. That those 50 agents include our 4 licensed transaction coordinators. We obviously still want to grow our team and grow our company. With that being said, we did 200 million last year, so we'd like to do that again, or more. It just depends. We still have low inventory in the market, which everyone is aware of, but we're already off
Yeah.
to a really strong start. And I feel like in the industry, I've been hearing some people saying like they have nothing going on and it's very slow right now. We're very busy right now, and we're have our team members going on appointments and making cold calls and leads coming in on Boomtown and all kinds of different avenues to maximize every potential opportunity we can get to get in front of people. And we're still doing all of our branding. See, here's the thing, because we've had the team for so long, we've been through a market shift before, the market shift of '08, and where a lot of
Yeah.
people either get out of the business or retract what they're doing marketing wise. We know that this is the time that you slam your foot on the gas and continue to move forward, because this is the time
Yep.
where market share is taken during the dip.
Absolutely, 100%. It's funny. I saw like an article or something that said 50% of all like loan officers or like mortgage originators are going to be out of business by next like this year, either because they wanted to, or because they didn't want to. But 50% will be gone, which I think is crazy because I mean, anyway, I don't know. It's I suppose the numbers are similar for real estate agents, who are not selling houses right now, who
Well, think
decided to get a
about it.
9 to 5.
Yeah, think about it. With the MLS dues and with all the fees that you have to keep your license active, if you're not doing a few deals a year, does it really make sense to pay all those fees?
Right, right, for sure.
And that's the thing about it, and that's because there are so many part-time agents. And I don't remember the exact number. Me and Senior looked at this a while ago, but in our trend graphics, like there's 6 or 7 thousand agents in our local MLS. I think from like agent 2000 on, those agents didn't do a deal. So there's a ton of agents that are
That's
in the,
crazy.
yeah. Well, I'm sure you being in the mortgage business, there's also a lot of people that are junior loan officers or working at companies that aren't
Yeah.
doing any loans, and you'll see
Right.
the retract on that. But I do know for a fact that when we went through this last time in 2008, and obviously right now is not the same what's going on as what happened then, but we put our foot on the gas and did more marketing, more branding, all of these different things.
Right.
We're going to continue to do it now because we know that it works, and we know that when we pull through the little dip that we're going through right now, it's just gonna be like we took off.
Right. 100%. Yeah. Now is the time to gain market share, I think. And like you said, slam your foot on the gas. And um, I think when everyone, I've always been this kind of way, when everyone does one thing, you don't follow the herd, you want to do the opposite. I mean, that's usually the best way to go. But yeah, that makes sense. And obviously it seems like it's working for you guys because you got a lot of younger, newer agents, like you mentioned, that are hitting the ground running as it is. So that's awesome.
Well,
So are you,
and
let's,
and the one thing I will tell you is like in the MLS, the top 5 or 10 agents in the MLS, it's always the same group of the 5 or 10 of us that are in the top 10, and we're
right.
all similar mindsets. We all have different business models, but everybody who's in that group are awesome people, and they all have
Yeah.
teams, and they're all thinking the same way. And that's why year after year we continue to all be up there in the top 10. I like all of those people that are in that top group, and I mean they're all really cool and they're team owners and we bounce ideas off of each other. But it's
Right.
really good to see that during these times that those teams really put the foot to the gas.
For sure. So what are you always looking for like new agents or I guess how does that work?
We're always looking for new agents. I'm posting stuff on Instagram and social media all the time about things that our
Awesome.
team offers. I'm sure you've seen some of the stuff that we've been
Yeah.
posting lately. Like
Yeah.
today, we had coaching in here, and we had about 20 people that were in here, and we went right from coaching right into a contracts class. Next week, we got coaching right into a listing presentation class. The week before this week, we went right into coaching into Jared, who you interviewed, doing a class on Instagram. He's got like 25,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, cool. Well, so I guess if I'm for newer agents who are listening who might want to join your team or might be interested in joining your team, what's the best way to connect with you?
They can just reach out to us directly if they're on Instagram and they want to just send me a DM. I'm the Inc team, the INC team, or our business page is Incorvaia Team. And they can message us on Facebook or Instagram or directly on our website, which is greaterclevelandlife.com. And we'd be happy
Cool.
to talk to anybody who is interested. And if you're in the business and you feel like you're struggling a little bit and you're not getting the help or the training that you need, we're definitely willing to have a conversation with you and see if we may be a fit.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, and I'll throw all that social media stuff in like the link or the episode summary page or whatever, so
Cool.
that everybody has it on there. Yeah, but Mike, I appreciate all your help and your information. I think this is gonna be really good information for team leaders. It's gonna be good for new agents. I think it might attract some individuals who are like minded, similar minded to you, who might want to join your team. But yeah, I again, thanks so much for being on the podcast. Hopefully, we get more Incorvaia team members. We already got you, we got Jared, so maybe we get a few other people on here and talk about sort of different things, basically.
Yeah, I mean, just let me know if you guys need anything, Sebastian. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me, and we're fired up. We're so fired up about EXP. It's like we got a new fire lit under us since we made the move in August, and
That's awesome.
we're on a roll, and we're going to keep it rocking.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, Mike. I look forward to talking to you soon, and yeah, have a good night.
All right, thanks, Sebastian. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cleveland Real Estate Podcast. If you're a real estate agent in the Cleveland and surrounding areas, reach out to us on Instagram at Cleveland RE Podcast or send us an email at clerepodcast@gmail.com. And if you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow the podcast so you're notified of new episodes going forward. See you next time.